What do you think Joshua needs to do in the next fight to grow from this in terms of mental game plan, tactics, training? What was there any glaring
Same thing that
areas?
Klitschko's had to do. I'm going to get right to it. Same thing George Foreman had to do. I talked about before. George Foreman submitted against Ali. You can say whatever you want. He got broken down. He gave in. At the end in the 8th round when he pirouetted around, and George Foreman, I love George Foreman. Who is a better ambassador for so many things, for being able to do things at a point in life when most people can't do them. Who's a better ambassador for that? For, never saying you're out of it, no matter what your age, no matter how long you were away. He was away 10 years. No matter what goes on in your life. Who is a better? I mean, George, I have nothing but respect for that man. And because of what I'm talking about, because of what he came from, because of what he overcame. But I couldn't have that respect if I didn't understand and acknowledge, at least for myself, what he overcame. I mean, this is a man who reinvented himself. This is a man who had 2 lives, the first George Foreman and the second George Foreman. And again, this is a guy that could give seminars. He doesn't have to do it because he made $200 million with a freaking grill, right? I mean, $200 million with a grill. But, I mean, this man is brilliant. He's brilliant. He's a good man. And he wrote the book on coming back, on talking about overcoming. So this is a guy, though, you have to appreciate it to the level I do. I have to understand exactly what he came back from, what went on in Zaire. He got broken down by Ali. Ali, as I said earlier, made him believe that it wasn't his choice what was happening to him. It was Ali's choice, that he had no control. The truths and the lies. The truth is it's always your control. The lie is it's out of your control. The lie is that it's someone else's control. The lie is that it's circumstances, that it's something that you have no say. That's a lie. That's what pressure does. It lies to you. Then it takes you outside and freaking kills you. And he understood that. He learned that night, and he came back and he showed it every time he got in the ring. And he became the second George. That second George would have, even older, even bigger, even with all the cheeseburgers in his diet, that second George would have beat the crap out of the first George because he understood the difference between the truth and the lie. He would have knocked out the first George, even though the first George was better physically, athletically, everything. The second George was so damn tough because of that. One of the toughest guys you ever meet. Champion at 46 years old against my guy. 45, 46, whatever it was. I want to forget it. But that's the answer to your question. Forget about all the other, you got to learn, maybe you need some help with the training, with the technique, and with some certain thing. Yeah. People going to talk about cardiovascular. That's not it. That's not it. It's this. It's in here.
Yeah.
It's understanding what George learned. It's understanding that, the difference between the truth and lie in life. What the truth is, what the lie is, what the cutoff point is. That it's your choice. And it was your choice to submit that night. It was your choice to go on against Klitschko. It was your choice to give in against Ruiz. It was your choice. You allowed it to be your choice. And till somebody speaks that hard truth to them, nothing will change. And that's the problem when you have people paid to be around you to sometimes tell you things that are other than the truth. That's the problem. But you know what? That stuff disappears quick when you go down the crooked road. That stuff gets lost real quick. It got lost with George. It got lost when it got quiet at night and there was no one around to tell George you're the best. And yeah, George, it wasn't your fault. It was this, it was that, and it was quiet. And it was only you to hear you at 2 a.m, 3 a.m, 12 at night. Then you get the answer. Then it gets lonely. Then you understand. And that's what it's going to take. Listen, the Klitschko's quit. The Klitschko's 10 years dominance. The younger Klitschko, Vladimir, right? I always get him confused with Vitaly. Vladimir, he quit against Ross Purity. Who was the other guy against Brewer? You say anything you want, but he gave up. He submitted. He gave in. In one of the fights, he made an excuse that he ran out of gas because his pores were clogged because Vaseline was put on his legs. All right, please, come on. All right, come on. I mean, we haven't overcome better than Vaseline in our lives. You beat Vaseline, my God. You beat Vaseline. So, but he submitted. But then he got to a place. And then he showed it with Samuel Peter. He was on the floor about 7 times, 5 times, 4, whatever it was. And he won that fight, kept getting off the floor because he got to that place. He got to that place, that professional place, that maturity place, whatever the freak you want to call it. But he got to that place where he realized that it was harder to quit than it was to fight. Because when you quit, you got to live with the circumstances and the reality and the truth of that for the rest of your life.
That's a perfect point.
You have to live with that the rest of your life when you quit.
It's harder to quit.
When you fight, it's over within a moment. It's done.
That's right.
You face it and it's done. And you're where you need to be and where you want to be. But you quit. It's harder to quit than it is to fight the hardest fight in the world. It's harder to quit because you got to live with those conditions that come with that, with the repercussions of that, with the reality of that, with the truth of that for the rest of your freaking life. That's called eternity. Eternity is a long time. Right? You fight for a few minutes. How long you got to fight? That's if I'm his trainer, that's what I'm telling you. Joshua, how much longer did you have to fight? You had 6 more rounds. 6 times 3, 18. 18 minutes. You couldn't be strong for 18 minutes? You couldn't be. At that moment, you thought you couldn't be, but you could be. But you could be. That's what he's got to learn. That's what Klitschko learned. That's what George learned. Will they admit it that readily? I don't care. I know what I know.
One of the themes on this show that we've spoken about before with Andrew Cancio and J. Rock Williams, who suffered losses and came back and then won world titles, is the fact that they almost needed to lose to get better. And I'm wondering if you think that's the case here with Joshua. Do you think he rebounds and comes back stronger and grows
I don't know
from
what's
this?
inside him. I just answered the question.
We're going to find out,
We're going to find out how important it is to him. That is his bank account more important than his pride, his legacy, his being able to have a comfortable night's sleep when there's nobody around him to tell him how great he is, when there's nobody around him to deflect the truths that can come at you when you've gone down this kind of crooked road. Where all of a sudden the people can say things to you that were not quite as nice as what they used to say. You so-and-so, you... Like Roberto Duran went down that road.
Oh, yeah.
In the Nomaz fight. And he's one of the greatest fighters of all time, one of the toughest fighters of all time. But he went down that road. He gave in. And he did something that fighters are not allowed to do. You're not allowed to quit. They say in baseball, that commercial, no crying in baseball. There's no quitting in boxing. There's no quitting in life.
I'll bet if you asked Roberto Duran right now, would you rather have been knocked out or said no mas, he would take the knockout.
But do you understand? When he went back to Panama, to his country where he was beloved, where people that had some of the harshest lives, their life became better when he got in the ring. Because they attached themselves to the hope of Duran, where I feel better about myself. Because that's my guy. That's my countryman. That's Roberto Duran in that ring representing us. He's representing me. You know what? I feel better now. I feel better. I'm in this place that's not a really good place, and I have a lot of these hardships and stuff. But today, I got Roberto Duran today. I got him singing for me, fighting for me, talking. That's part of me there. If he could do it, maybe things would change for me. He's from my country. And when Duran gave up and said those infamous words, no mas, he had no idea what that carried with it until he found out that he shouldn't go back at first because he might get stoned to death.
Yeah.
You understand what we're talking about here? you better not come home because you might get killed.
Yeah, it's no joke.
So I'm not saying it's to that level with Joshua at all, but there are levels.
Yeah.
There are uncomfortable levels where he will not hear some of the things, or he will hear some of the things that he never heard before.
Oh, yeah.
And that matters.
Oh, yeah.
How much does it matter? And does he come to terms with what I just said and understand the reality of what he did? That I said 6, but it was the 7th. So 7 rounds, so 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So he had 15 more minutes. That's what he has to come to terms with, that the reality of what he did was he spit the bid when he had to be strong for 15 more minutes. Now he's got to live forever with what comes with that. Look at the two things. Could you have been strong for 15 minutes? The answer, I'm going to go out on a line. I'm going to go out on a limb. I know I wasn't the one in there. Yes. Yes. You know what I told Alex before the fight? And he doesn't have to be told nothing because he's a special guy.
Yeah.
And there's special people out there, you know?
Oh, he's the.
I
love him. He's a good dude.
But he is one of them.
He's very good.
He's one of them. I know he's mine, but I'm just saying, whether he was or not, from what I know, he's one of them. And you know what I said to him before the fight? There's a few things, of course, but one of them I said at some point was, Alex, on this night that we're fighting for the light heavyweight championship of the world and getting close to it, I said, there's things in life that you can't control. And you've already been through some of them, some tough things. And you had no control, really. I mean, there's certain things, kind of like what happened to that great man Herring, the Marine, who I have nothing but respect for. He had no control over his daughter dying. He didn't control that. There's certain things in life that we can't control. This is not one of them. That's what I tell Joshua. This is not one of them. There are things in life you can't control, and then there's things you can. You can control how you behave, no matter how hard it gets, and the choices you make.
Well, that's
the thing that's going to tell whether or not Joshua comes back.
The nice thing he has going for him is that he had that rematch clause, so he's going to get a chance to right this wrong. No one can change what's happened.
And it's going to be a huge fight over there.
And it's going to be
huge. Because, you know, and listen, I do it with a wink, right? I love you guys. I do it with a wink. But my brothers, my sisters over there across the pond, you only have thoughts. All right? You only got thoughts. Now you got a Joshua. Now you got a Joshua Ruiz mega rematch. Okay? I love you. I'm only kidding. You got snooker. You got soccer. We know soccer. Unreal. Biggest sport in the world. Biggest sport in the world. But you don't have some of those other things that are over here that get in the way. You know, the Steph Currys and all, you know, all the Tiger Woods and the LeBron James, you know, all that stuff. You don't have some of that stuff. So listen, I love you. I'm kidding with you. There's something that's going to sell that fight. You know what it is? Everyone loves it. You love it across the pond. We love it over here. As human beings, we love this. Redemption. That's what's going to sell. And that's what I probably just help the promoter. And I don't want to help her. And you better come on this freaking show to pay back for some of this. Okay? All right? But, no, that's what I would put on the posters. Redemption. It's powerful. Everyone loves a chance at redemption. Everyone that has a heart in their chest, that has a care in their body. And this fight's about redemption. We all want to have a shot of redemption, all of us. And you know, and we like when people get it. It makes us feel good because we never know when we're going to need it.